Can we learn from others? Is it a good idea to look at other mod developer repositories, or is it a bad idea? What are the bottlenecks when we look at other mod developers and their code? And how can we do that to achieve something? In this video, we will answer all these questions. Hello, everyone. This is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. As you see, I have cloned many different mods from different mod loaders under different subfolders, keeping them organized for myself. The very first thing I do when I clone and open this project is that I make sure that none of the build.gradle files are listed. Because if you keep all those build.gradle files and you want to make those projects work, first of all, there will be a huge data storage on your hard drive. And sometimes they don't work for different reasons. For example, the Maven will not let you download something, or the project is old project, some things like that. However, the only thing you need is to look at the code itself. So you don't need to run the project as a mod dev n. Keeping those build.gradle files outside of any building process helps you to have faster project loading and preventing any Gradle cache files being downloaded for these many different projects. That's the first step. Also, you may notice that I sometimes use subfolder organization to make things more organized when I'm cloning things. Now, let's say that you had cloned a very special project. Let's answer the first question. Is it a good thing to look at other people's repository, or is it a bad thing? Well, it depends. If you know what you're doing, if you're an experienced mod developer, it's not a bad approach, honestly. However, there is a very critical thing that you should keep in mind, and that is, what is the structure that you are looking at? Is it a very popular mod and a very good known mod developer, or is it some mod that you just found that has something that you are interested in and you don't know the mod developer? In the first case, chances are that the mod developer knows what he's doing and the code is okay. However, there are some cases that you should be careful about. For example, if I look at the tech folder and go into Industry subfolder, there is Industeria. Now, Industeria is a mod that Tutti started. If I spelled the name wrong, I apologize. And it's in early stages. Now, I know Tutti for at least 5 or 6 years. I lost the track. He was a good Forge developer and just recently moved into Fabric. So I know the guy, he knows what he's doing, and chances are that his code is trustable. Let's take a look. And by the way, I'm not criticizing anyone here. I'm just giving you some examples. The very first problem that I encounter is that different mod developers use different structuring for their subfolders and packages. If you take a note, in both Industeria and Tech Reborn, they split their code between client and main. So they are using the split approach, and I'm not. In my mod, I have the client and main sitting inside one structure, so I should be aware of that. However, if I open the main for Tech Reborn, you see API, block entity, blocks, component, config, entities, event, init, items, multi-blocks, packets, recipe, utils, and more. Let's take a look at someone else that is doing tech mod, like Solar. Now, this guy is using one structure for the client and server because I don't see any client, or it may be a client-sided mod, but when I open it, I find this client subfolder and I know that, okay, he didn't split the main from client. That's okay. Then I see block, item, networking, screen, util. Another guy, for example, one of the most famous ones is modern industrialization. Now, this one is a hell of a mod. He splitted the main and client. That's okay. Let's take a look at main. And you see that he is using completely different approach for his foldering. He has machines, materials, miscellaneous, nuclear, proxy, resources, resource, recipe, stats, textures. Okay, util. So the very first problem that you encounter with these repositories is to sit back and understand the folder structure of the mod developer. That's okay, you can get your way around it in maybe an hour. However, let's take a look at our example. Now I'm using registry for registering everything. Some mod developers use init. That's okay. I know that. I open it and here I see block init and item init. Let's take a look at this one. As I said, I know this mod developer. He's a decent man and he knows what he's doing. However, the register method is using generics. Now we will talk about this use case in another video in the next week or maybe 1 or 2 weeks later. And you will see that it's not really necessity to use generics for registering items. So although this developer is a decent developer, he had done something questionable. You should be aware of these special cases. When someone is doing something in a different way that you are not familiar with. For example, every time I use a register method for the items in a mod, I directly type item here and return the item. Why should I use generics? I'm not sure. So I go back and ask in Fabric. It's not a problem. If you don't understand something in some repository from another mod developer, you can ask about concepts like this directly inside mod dev Discord channel. Other than this case, I learned few things actually from Tutiworthy, and I like how he's dealing with things like, where was it? Here. I learned few things from Tutiworthy when it comes to these wrappers. These are wrapped methods for different storages, and it was a really flexible approach actually. It adds a layer of abstraction. You may not need it if you are making a simple mod, but it's a good library to use actually. So yes, it's usable. However, when you come to something more complex that you don't have any idea about it, for example, for the HUD or graphics, we can find pistorder. Pistorder is a very powerful mod. However, if I open the structure, things are completely different. He has some utils, okay. Push limit, I don't understand that one, okay. Ignore it. Mixin, of course, I know that he has to use mixin because he wants to draw something in the world. So one way or another, he has to tap into the Minecraft code. So that's mixin for you. And this mod is all about mixin. However, I just want to see how he is drawing something in the world. Now, finding that inside this structure can be a little bit of challenge, and I had done my homework. If you look, you would think that, okay, I want to draw something in the world and world render mixin should be the one. Let's take a look. He's pushing some matrices for the OpenGL, understandable. And then he says pist order get instance render. And that's it. Okay, pist order. Where is pist order? Because we didn't add the project as a build project, we can't use middle mouse click. This is where these imports can be interesting. You see that it's under pist order, IMPL pist order, IMPL pist order. And go into the structure, we see this render, and this is things are happening, isn't it? Let's take a look. He makes a list. He loops through the list and he says display.render. Okay, what is the display? It's a display map value. Okay, what is the display map? It should be a variable up here. That is it. It's a map, a pair of world, block pose, and pist order display. This is the value. This is a complex key pair, but this is the value, pist order.display. Okay, where is that one? And that's it, pist order display. So I open it, and remember, he was calling the pist order display dot render. So now I take a look at the render method if I can find it, and that's it. So this is how he's drawing something in the board. Let's take a look. He finds the client. Of course, this time we want to be client side. Draw some string and draw some string. Okay, draw string should be something internal, isn't it? And if we take a look, here we go. Draw string has two overloads. This one is calling the other one. So this is how he's drawing a string inside Word. Now it's time to sit back and read this line by line to see how he's defining the position to draw the string, how he's drawing the string, and how draws it in a way that the string always is facing the player and stuff like that. So we found our way inside a very complex mod simply because we knew where to look for. And trust me, it did take me at least an hour to find my way around it. I showed it to you in minutes, but it took me about an hour looking into different mixins, trying to find different classes in this small mod. And I call it a small, although it's doing something really big. I call it a small because the number of classes are not that many, and you can easily find your way around it. Now, the other problem that you may encounter, and it can be really troublesome, is that some developers use different language other than Java. Some uses Kotlin and some uses Scala. For example, storage, FluidTank 2, you see KTS at the end of the build.gradle. It means that he is using Kotlin. However, he is using more than Kotlin. If I take a look at the Fabric, and by the way, this is his way of handling Fabric and Forge side by side each other, and NeoForge. God, okay, this is a multi-mod loader approach. Okay, Fabric, open the source, main, Java. There's nothing there. It's just one class that called ignore unknown tag ingredient. That's not really what we want. Now, when you are face to face with multi-mod loader approach, there is a chance that most of the useful things is sitting under common. Let's take a look. Main. Oh, Scala. Okay, open it. And yes, there are tons of things here. Fluids, ingredients, item. Okay, where is the block? Tank, maybe? Yes, they are block, tank, and etc. And you see that it's not Java. If you open it, it's completely Scala. And if you don't know how to program under Scala, now reading this code can be a huge challenge for you. So either you should have to put time and effort into learning Scala, or you may want to just read the code and try to find your way around it and see if you can handle things or not, or if you understand things or not. And that's a huge challenge there. If something like this happens and you don't know Scala, my advice for the new programmers is to ignore this repository because it can harm you more than helping you. It can waste your time, and the implementation you try to mimic may not help you. So at least you have to put some few hours into learn the Scala as a base, and then at least try to understand what's going on here. And honestly, this is a very, very complex mod. Other than using Scala, he is doing things in a very complicated way because the concept is complicated. He is putting fluid tanks on top of each other, and he wants to use the whole capacity as a whole tank, even though that you are putting different blocks on top of each other. And then he wants to render the fluid from bottom to top, and things become complex really fast. So that's another bottleneck for you. Understanding another language that can be used every now and then. If I want to wrap things up and keep this video short, for those who are really new to mod developing, I highly suggest that you should avoid other people's mod repositories. Stick to vanilla. Chances are that you will find what you need to do inside vanilla one way or another. If you didn't find it, for example, if you are dealing with Energy API, of course, Vanilla doesn't have Energy API. The best choice, the best possible choice would be a mod that the developer of library is developing himself. In this special case, Energy API, we have Tech Reborn that is developed by the same mod developer. So just open Tech Reborn and be very precise. So you can dissect this mod step by step, find your way around it, and it may need to sit back, do this dissection for maybe a day, and then at the end, you will get everything dissected and you can find your way around them step by step, taking out the things that you need and put it inside your mod. However, make sure that you just don't copy paste. That's a terrible thing to do. You should understand step by step what he's doing. And you should make sure that you change the code as much as needed to make it work with your own scenario and with your own case. Now, I have a challenge to sit back and see how I want to generate the power. Do I want a custom recipe for it? Do I want to hard code the numbers? Do I want to use a calculative math algorithm for calculating the power? At any point when I got my power ready, this is the line of code that I can utilize to adjust my energy container. And that's it. So I don't need to dissect this mod more than what I did right now. I don't care how he is doing the recipe reading. I will do myself the way I understand it, and I will utilize it. Of course, if you did like to see how a power being added to a custom recipe, okay, you can dissect another section of Tech Reborn. But that's irrelevant on how to set the energy and how to generate the energy. Also keep in mind, different ways of producing energy may need different calculative math to produce the energy. For example, a lava, it's an easy example because you will take a bucket, you produce some amount. Another mod developer may say, no, I don't want to take a whole bucket. I will add an internal tank. Okay, you should have that. And then I will use millibuckets from that tank or droplets or whatever. We will take a look at fluid containers. Don't worry if you don't understand what I'm saying here. And I will produce my own type of energy and my own amount. Another developer may say that I don't need any of that. I want to make energy based on coal, and coal should have a burn time. And in that burn time, each tick I will produce certain amount of energy per tick. So different ways of producing energy needs different way of calculating the generated power. The bottom line is that when you got your power amount ready, this is the math that you can use to produce that power and put it inside the container. And we got what we wanted, so to hell with the rest of this mod. We will close it and we will get out of this project as a whole. And in my opinion, that's a better way of looking at some guy's code. Find the exact section of the code that you need and don't waste your time to see how Tech Reborn had done different things in a different way. You don't need that. The bottom line, again, if you are new, take a look at Vanilla. If the Vanilla didn't cover something like Energy API, Tech Reborn is a nice place to look for it. And if you don't understand what you are reading, please don't use blind copy pasting. That will hit you hard somewhere down the road. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.